Costumecrazed, and today I'm going to show you how to make an easy, no-sew, costume-style epaulette, just like I made for this jacket. The first thing we're going to want to decide is how big our epaulette should be, and that will depend upon how wide your shoulders are and how you want it to fit on your jacket. So if you have the garment you're going to put it on, that's a good place to start. If you don't, you can try to approximate it on yourself, and it really doesn't have to be perfect. So what you're going to want to do is take your tape measure or a ruler or whatever, or just a piece of paper, and measure from about where you want the end of the epaulette to be out to the edge of your jacket. And mine comes to be about 6 inches. The next thing you're going to want to do is to figure out about how wide you want it to be. And it can be quite narrow, up to, however, probably 3 to 4 inches, whatever you want. After we've figured out our approximate size, we're going to make a pattern. To that, take a piece of scratch paper and fold it in half, just like you were going to make a valentine, like back in elementary school. Then, we're going to measure down however long we want our finished epaulette to be, and that might be, say, 6 inches, or however far you are, again, from the point at the neckline down to the point at the shoulder. Then we're going to measure about how wide we want it to be. Remember that we are multiplying in half, because this is a fold, so this is only the half. So if I want my epaulette to be 3 inches wide, I'm going to mark at the 1.5 inch mark. I may want my epaulette to be a little bit narrower at the top, so I'll mark that as well. Then I'm just going to take my marker and roughly draw an epaulette shape. I'll cut this out and open it up, and then I will decide if I like this on my shoulder or not for my finished epaulette. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't overthink this, okay?
Next, let's collect our needed supplies. You'll need a hot glue gun and glue sticks, a marker, scissors, and ruler, bar pins, some decorative trim, some fringe, felt, and base material to make your epaulette.
The next thing you'll want to do is cut your epaulette out of whatever material you're going to make the top. I like this kind of stiff, glittery stuff that I get at a craft store. You could also use fabric with some sort of liner, maybe plastic off of a milk jug, or you could use popsicle sticks. If you're not planning on washing it, you could even use cardboard, several layers of felt, anything that gives you a little something stiff. Like I said, I like this glittery stuff. So what I'm going to do then is take my pattern and putting it as close to the edge as I can, because we never want to waste materials. We don't want to plop our pattern right smack dab here in the middle. We're going to put it over to the side, and then we're going to trace around it twice, and I like to do it once, and then I like to do it like as a mirror image and trace around it, so I have 2. This is going to be our pair of epaulettes. If the material that you have has a one-way pattern on it, make sure that you're putting your epaulettes on there so that they're the same. Like, don't flip it like I did, but so that the pattern goes the way you want it to be, okay? After we've cut that out, we're going to have 2 shapes that look something like this. The next thing we're going to want to do is put the fringe on. You can buy fringe online. You can also go to your favorite craft store and buy it by the yard, however you want to do it. Now, there's a couple different ways we can put the fringe on. We can sew the fringe on, and I often do this using my sewing machine, and you can see here I have a stitching line there, okay? So you can sew it on, or you can just glue it on for a no-sew version. Sometimes when I make epaulettes, I put fringe around the whole thing. Sometimes I only put it around the bottom edge. Either way is fine, however you decide to do it. If you do want to do it so that you only do it along the edge, what I usually do is I mark the center of my epaulette. Then I cut a piece of fringe, however long. I mark the center and I glue it like from the center out and then from the center out so that I get it put smack in the middle. Today I'm just gonna make it so that it goes around the edge of the epaulette. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my glue gun and I'm gonna put a little bead of glue on there, and then I'm gonna take my fringe and glue it around the edge of my epaulette form. Go ahead and take your time, do a little bit at a time so that your glue sticks. Okay, then when you have that done, go ahead and cut your fringe. Pull off. Hopefully it'll pull off. If not, cut it. Try again. There we go. Pull off the retaining stitches. Sometimes easier said than done. Try not to cut the end of your fringe. Sometimes they'll be like heat sealed on the end so it won't fray very much, so you want to try not to do that. There we go. And now we have the fringe around the edge of our epaulette shape. If you want to button the epaulette to your jacket, at this point, I probably would put it on my jacket and feel where those buttons are and make a little mark on the top of your epaulette where you're going to want to cut buttonholes. Because this stuff that I use, or depending on what you use, you can just cut some buttonholes in there so you can button it on and off. I'm going to use pins, so I'm not going to do that. The next thing we want to do is pick out some fringe, or I mean some trim. I think I'll use this gold trim here. So you can just leave this edge raw here, but a lot of times I like to put a little piece of trim on there just so it looks pretty and a little more finished. So I'm gonna glue that on there first, like that, right on the end, like that, okay? Then I'm going to glue on the back right there. Hold that for a second to make sure it's nice and sealed. And then repeat the gluing process, only this time gluing the trim on the top of the fringe. Again, you can do this with your sewing machine if you want. I usually use a zigzag stitch. Alright, when you get up to the top, make sure you catch those ends so that they don't fray. Trim your trim, flip it over, and glue it down. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is put a backing on here. I have already cut out some pieces of backing out of black felt. If you wanted your epaulette to be stiffer, you could glue a popsicle stick in here. Just be aware if you put a popsicle stick in it, you're not going to be able to cut buttonholes. I kind of eyeball it to make sure that my backing covers what I want it to cover fairly well. Then, again, I just carefully glue it down. So there, it's in place. I use bar pins that you can just find at a craft store, and you're going to need 4 of these for each set of epaulettes. And I go ahead and get these set out because I want my epaulettes to be mirror images of each other. And so I open my pins up and I put them, set them out so that I have 2 sets of pins going in opposite directions so that I don't get messed up. All right. Then I'm going to want some little scrap pieces of felt. These are just scraps that come from cutting out a bunch of these backs. And I'm going to take my epaulette and I'm going to secure one set of pins on, like so. And then I just take these little scraps of felt and use them to reinforce the pins in place. The nice thing about using hot glue is that if I decide I don't like where these pins are, I can use a blow dryer and I can blow it and soften this glue up, and then I can peel them off and reposition it. If you have a lot of these little glue strings, you can also take your blow dryer and blow it off, and that will get rid of a lot of those, clean that up really easy. Okay? Then I can close this. And there our epaulette is done. You will want to repeat this process and make the second one. Now we can take our epaulette and pin it to our jacket. You can do these in all kinds of colors and styles, so they can go on and off. And there you go, a quick and easy epaulette. And again, like I said, you can just put fringe on part of it to give you that more prince look on the end. I hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial, and as always, thanks for watching and happy costuming.